So, everybody, the next episode of Comedy Guy, it's a Tim and Lewis show. We're back. We're here. I'm not even going to put a description on this one. It's just like, if you're into it, you're into it.
Yep, that's it.
If you know what you're going to get with Tim and Lewis and beer and pizza.
And racism, I suppose.
Do you think racism might happen on this podcast? That's unheard of, my friend. Tightening up our little studio setup here. So yesterday, Tim, you recorded your little episode of your own?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
With James Humphreys, a Welsh lad, comedian.
Okay, yeah, that's right, yeah.
Who told me actually that the first time he ever went to a show here was the last KPK I've done. And how apparently I singled him out in the audience or something without knowing him. Which is funny because Carl did the same to me at my first show. So
that's the indoctrination.
We've come full circle. Like.
Some weird Star Trek thing where the aliens infect you by talking to you and then you become one. Cool. So, and how long did you record for? How long was that episode?
An hour and 20 minutes.
Okay, that's nice. It's good length.
I'll cut it down here and there. We'll see what happens. I'll go back and I'll...
Oh, you want to do some editing to it, do you?
Well, there was a point when James had said something that Caleb had said. Mm-hmm. So I decided to call Caleb and get to the bottom of it. And it turns out that James was full of shit. Caleb, he completely misunderstood Caleb. So there's just a little time setting up the phone call I want to cut in, So
okay. Did you use the desk to do the Bluetooth call?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Is it? That's cool.
Fucking amazing technology.
Yeah,
like.
you could just
Yeah.
Oh, it's good. Yeah, I guess we're all settling into this new normal, aren't we, right now? What this...
Yeah.
So just yesterday, Yuri and his gang, Yuri Ratas and his gang set up new rules for us. Have you learned about the new rules today?
You're going to explain to me.
We're going to have to... It's Yuri's new rules. Okay, where are we going here? Okay, government coronavirus restrictions limit public gatherings to 2 people.
Is this this isn't public, so we're fine, right?
No, but still, we're on, how would that be if we had 3 people and we put the footage out there?
Yeah.
Oh, Yuri's going to come after us. So at least 2 meters must be kept between people when in public places. Including the first one, beaches. Yeah, well, that's where we're all fucking going, isn't it? The beach. Gee, I really need to... That's great advice. Parks, promenades, and hiking trails.
Do we have a promenade in this country? What is a promenade? I don't know.
I don't know. A place where you strut, you walk with purpose and intensity. So you got to stay 2 meters away from people there. Groups of more than 2 people are forbidden to gather in public places.
Fucking hell. More than... Because there was... I mean, I was out with Rono last night. There were some people in the pub, so how the fuck does that...
Yeah, I guess you can't do it. I mean, I guess the pub... What is in a public place? You got to sit one table apart from one another. With the bad children in school who have been separated, opposite sides of the classroom.
Yeah.
So you're not allowed to do that.
Jesus.
Families of more than 2 may still move around in public together. So, okay. Public playgrounds, sport grounds are closed in Tallinn, Tartu, and Pärnu. However, apparently you can go to the public playground in Pulva.
Hey!
Paide? No problem.
What are you doing after this? You want to head down to the playground and
in Paide.
Have a swing?
Yeah, that's right. It's all for us now. No one can stop us. People are not allowed to move around in groups of more than 2 people in public. Dang.
Jesus.
This restriction does not apply to families, those whose job should move so. And from Friday, shopping centers are closed.
Oh, as in T1.
The mall.
Oh, okay. T1 was fucked.
T1 is the only place that this has not affected. Yeah. There wasn't Business any people in there anymore, and there is still no people in that mall. Maybe there's more people in the mall.
So it's closed from Saturday, you say?
I say Friday, so I'm not quite sure.
Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah, from Friday. I don't know if that means on Friday. But then you start thinking, what do I need from the mall?
Yeah.
What do I need to get? What?
That's just going to put more pressure on the non-mall places like, the Rimmies and the Selvers and stuff like that,
In Australia, supermarkets are already being opened for 24 hours. Like they've just got, they've got approval. Yeah, we'll do whatever you want.
It's weird here though, because, after that initial fucking panic buy when everyone cleared out the shelves, now all the supermarkets ordered stuff in. So that like the Maxi Market in Paida has double the amount of rows now because they have rows made out of fucking towers of toilet paper. So, it's just it's odd. Like I drove down to Caleb's house and I stopped into the co-op that's near his house down there, and there was like 5 dedicated rows full of toilet paper and no one buying it because we all have our stock now.
Yeah, I'm good. We get it now. Yeah.
So I don't know.
There's not really supply problems.
Yeah.
So we're not allowed to go to the supermarket. We can't do anything. But the cases now, it's 406. 406 as of today. But like that's all right. Like it was 350 a couple of days ago. This is still not pandemic. This is not hockey stick.
But as a
graph
percentage
stuff.
of the population, that's a lot though. Like
It keeps getting pointed out to me. But how many have we tested?
Yeah.
Have we really done all the tests? Good point. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just sounds like it's all right. That
I tell you what though, I find it interesting because I read an interview with that young fella who's the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Tanil Keek, is it?
he's social minister,
Reek?
isn't he?
What's his name?
Tanil Keek. Isn't he
yeah.
social? He looks like he's got the curly hair.
Yeah.
He looks like he should have been in a 90s inner London ska indie band.
He looks like a fucking SNL writer or something.
Right, like he's an extra from Harry Potter.
He was saying that like the Estonian response was great because the people listened to the government. And we were talking about this the other day, like how fucking that's such a foreign thing to us.
Our government's dog. We don't listen. Fuck the police.
Yeah.
Fuck the.
Because we had the pub closures in Ireland too, but no one gives a shit like that.
Because how can you clean them out? I saw today an article about Bondi Beach, the classic beach in Australia, and they've actually got huge fence, like they've put portable fence in.
How big is that beach?
It's long. I mean,
Yeah.
it's for an Australian beach, it's not that great or good, but pretty big, pretty long. They've covered it with fence, and there's some dude in his budgie smugglers going, "Fucking, this is my beach, mate!" And he's pushed it through. "Oh, you fucking can't stop me from getting to the beach, you bunch of cunts."
Is he a relative of yours, no?
Probably, we all are in some way.
Did you see what the Italians did?
What was that?
The Italian police, to get people off the beaches, they got in a helicopter and got really low and then tilted the helicopter and just blew sand on people.
You're getting a wash as well.
Yeah.
Some Miguel hasn't fucking had a clean for about 3 weeks.
But I was asking Caleb yesterday, like, do you feel like you're actually in the middle of this big thing? Does it feel like you're in a global pandemic, like this fucking horrible end times? Because it doesn't feel like that to me.
It doesn't
at all.
feel like horrible end times, does it? I think that's the thing. We adapt as human beings really quickly.
Yeah.
I think we adapt. Like we just go, this is the new normal now. Like everything gets cut. This is how it is. All right, this is life now.
Yeah.
It's not that weird. It's not that different. But do we say that because we don't have children? I'm trying to think who else is really feeling it?
Yeah.
Or is that because like we're not working a job that we just got fired from? Are we just insulting everybody who's a chef?
Well, because Comedy Estonia is a 10-year thing now. And in the beginning, you didn't have big, massive shows and stuff. So you were kind of able to fall back on, sure, this is like the old days type of thing, right? Whereas someone who's working in a pub or a hotel or something who gets laid off, for them, it's probably much more fucking full on,
Yeah, I guess if you haven't that mythical thing that you're supposed to have the money saved up.
Yeah,
Haven't you got the 3 months? Why?
The rainy day fund. Yeah.
Haven't you got 3 months of backup? That's what you're supposed to have. Yeah, okay, we can go for a bit longer. Yeah, okay, if you were living month to month doing a job that, I mean, it's rough.
Yeah,
It's okay, we saved a little bit for this kind of thing, so we'll be all right for a while.
Yeah.
I was thinking, like in because what we're looking at, especially with Comedy Estonia, is how the venues are closing, and we've already heard that Tempel in Pärnu is just gone. Did you ever go there? At the back of where the Bum Bum is. Used to be something else years ago. I've
been there, yeah.
The Focus Bum Bum restaurant, and then Tempel is upstairs.
Yeah, I've been there, yeah.
Okay, it's like way upstairs,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. They've just closed for good.
Done,
So
finished.
they're done. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
fucking
over.
hell.
Game over. But that was always a difficult place to run any sort of venue, restaurant, bar, and they were always in a difficult situation trying to get that place going. Notwithstanding that they had other things like, like Ekra hated Tempel.
No.
Like Ekra were making like protests because there was, I'm not sure the exact story, but there was like a film festival or a culture festival or something like this happening, right? And I think it was that they played a film about gay and lesbian lifestyle, something like this.
Yeah.
And ECRA started protesting, saying, why are we giving the council money when they're showing this gay and lesbian propaganda? And shit, they got it from all sides. They did not have an easy life. So they're under, I mean, we're hearing every venue we know of could be in a pickle.
Well, it's to be expected, I suppose. I mean, when you go from having revenue to having nothing.
Because I've been trying to, I'm really naive, right? Because I'm trying to work out how we can, I think Comedy Estonia would be okay, right? We just have to survive. And because our real thing is our value is our talent. Or the talent of the comedian. It's not mine. I'm an idiot. But their talent, right? And they can't no one can take that away from us. If nothing else, maybe it's even getting a bit better in this time when we're just doing podcasts and practicing. That's our value. And we don't have stock to lose, and we don't, we got a little bit of office rent and some overheads, right? But it's all right, It's mainly just I've got staff and I've got wages, but okay. But I've been trying to analyze other businesses when they go, well, we're going under. It's like, why? What was it? And I started to think about, let's say, a venue. I'm a bar. Okay, so you can't open. All right, cool. So then it's like, well, what are your fixed expenses that you still got to pay? Why can't I just open up in 3 months' time? Okay, maybe you got rent. All right, you got wages. All right. And then there's probably other things. I don't know if they got loans and shit like that. Because I hear left, right, and center that banks are going like, oh, we're going to give you a period of grace on the loan. Now, I don't know that it applies to everything. Yeah. Maybe that's hard to get. Wages are a tough one because you've got employees. I guess you can't, I don't know if you're allowed to just fire them. I don't know how that works. If they're just on hours, can you just not give them hours? With rent is an interesting one because you rent from a landlord and now it's like, well, landlord, we were always on the edge trying to build up this business. We don't have anything more. And then now typically in any other case, the landlord goes, go fuck yourself. You're out. I'm going to get another tenant in who will pay the rent. But in this time period, there can be no other tenant. So, and indeed, if we were to kick out the bar right now and say, fuck you because you can't pay the rent, when you can finally open the doors again in 2 months' time, if you got a new tenant, it's still going to take them time to get up to speed, start the business. Your new tenant isn't instantly going to be going well. So, like, why would you get rid of one tenant when you can't instantly replace them with another? So if there's landlords out there going, no, you're out because you can't pay the rent, I don't see the advantage to that landlord.
Yeah. I suppose for a business owner, though, all said, like, you see, I was thinking about this earlier, actually. Like, if I ran a brick and mortars business in service, like a pub, like, the whole businessman mentality is fairly cutthroat. To be a successful businessman, you have to be a dickhead, like, you know what I mean?
Not necessarily.
Well,
How?
No, you don't have to be a dickhead, but a lot of them are.
Okay, sure.
Because they're very cutthroat. Because I'm talking about purely pub owners and stuff now.
Oh, okay.
And that is I'm not calling you a dickhead, Lewis. I mean, we already know you're a dickhead anyway, so it's fine.
It's not okay. But you're saying, let's say also in our culture, in Anglo culture that we have, that the pub owner is typically a bit.
There's a high turnover. If your pub isn't doing well,
you
just cut your fucking ties and move on. So at the moment in Ireland, there's a lot of people being told, look, we're just cutting our fucking losses and moving on because we're not making any money. So I was thinking to myself, I'm very much a rainy day person. Like, I will save most of my money just for shit like this. Which is a thing my father fucking put in my brain for years. Like, always have to have a fucking rainy day fund. And I think I'd probably apply the same thing to business in that I, being the gracious man that I am, I'd be paying my employees' wages right now. I'd be using that money saved up for stuff like that. But I would say a lot of like the pub owners and stuff like that would rather just say, we'll pack it in now, take the profit I made off it and gone.
Right.
And that's what's happening in Ireland at the moment. I don't know if that applies to the likes of Temple and the lads here, but
I guess that's it because I'm viewing it kind of through a frame of we're small, we're in Estonia. I know a lot of these people. I know they're not these dickhead kind of just in it for the business kind of guys. They were really trying to make a bar, a craft beer bar, indie bar, a rock bar, whatever it might be. I do get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
It would be like that. Like I guess my premise is if you're an owner who wants to keep on going, that you've put significant effort into this bar and you want to see this through, that we haven't yet come to the end of this, that maybe it hasn't completely made us a profit yet. We haven't quite got going yet. Like, all right, I'm going to, Because I see employees as, like, I've already put an investment into them.
Yeah.
I actually don't want to jettison them because if nothing else, I've just lost my investment in that employee. Like I've spent a lot of time, even with Comedy Estonia business, you might at a short-sighted view might say, well, no one's doing events anymore. There's never going to be a company party again. Why do we need a sales manager? Right? Why? We're apparently never performing at a company party again. Why do we need a sales manager at this time, right? When there are clearly no sales to be made. Whereas I view it as like our sales manager, Christina, has been with us for 6 months, 8 months, something like that. And when you're building up a salesperson, you invest in sales. But you don't just bring on a salesperson and they start making sales. Not unless you're Renard Trumel doing El Have, in which case it's sales, Tony Robbins left, right, and center, baby, no problems. But if you're building a sales cycle, or like a sales, I don't know what it's called, sales pipeline or sales fucking department or whatever in a company, you don't just employ a salesperson and instantly the sales start coming in. You essentially invest in that sales department and say, no, I believe this salesperson is going to build up this sales pipeline over time, make contacts, build up our offerings, and slowly that will take time. And as a business owner, you have no choice but to say like, there's no instant way to get sales. I have to get this salesperson to build this up over time. So if I were to be like straight up like, well, there's no sales for the next 3 months, so like I'd waste that investment. We spent 8 months building the sales department up to this. Like, to me, this is just another fucking pothole on the road of like, well, okay, now it's 3 months of salary extra. Okay, cool. Because otherwise I've wasted 8 months of salary building up this sales department. And then at the end, I'm still going to have to find another salesperson again and start from scratch in 3 months' time with a new salesperson fucking building it up from scratch again. I don't want to, I'm quite happy to see this through because I don't want to throw away that 8 month investment.
But I suppose that's a completely different type of business to something like a pub, you know. You know, it's all for them, it's all short term bar people usually, you know.
Yeah.
You'd want to be invested in your chefs now, lads. If there's any businessmen out there, a load of chef friends of mine in Ireland have lost their jobs and they've been told, look, you're fucked. Like a load of them have become Uber drivers and they're like, what? I'm making more money than I did as a chef. So yeah. But I suppose chef is a lot like chefing. It's almost like comedy in a way because it's a talent, right? And there'll always be jobs for them there. So you know.
I think so. A good chef. It's just you got to write. That's the difficult part. Why didn't you have 3 months? Well, no one's got 3 months. Not anyone, but it's not that common to.
Yeah, but it's the front of house people that it breaks my heart for them, like because they're fucked. They're fucked. You know. It's like with the government is coming and saying, well, you gotta close. That's it. You know. So.
That's very hard to go into. Like I think we were talking one of these episodes about. I like that the government came through and said no, all events have to close down, because that took the decision out of my hands. Because if we're looking at our income and the income for the future and the income for the comedians, that's a tough choice to say like the government didn't tell you to shut down, but you should probably shut down. Be like, yeah, but that's our rent. You know, it's the same idea as that's the same thing as the shopkeep who has to decide whether they face corona or just shut down and have no income.
How do you think you would have, if there was no restrictions, do you think you would have done the right thing and said, look, we'll take a break for a while?
I can't do it. I can't comment because you wouldn't know. Like,
he would have milked you. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, come. I want to take all your ticket money. Put all that dirty Corona coins in the bucket.
I remember even before the ban on gatherings, you were like, this is getting a bit. dodgy. You know, how are we gonna?
It's a tough choice because that's
Yeah.
what they were complaining of in the UK. Because have they made a blanket ban in the UK
Yeah,
yet?
yesterday they did the same thing.
Right.
More than 2 people is banned.
Right.
And I fucking good luck policing that over there because they don't give a fuck over there.
Yeah.
Like I have my friend Tom in Manchester was telling me like his local pub is fully open. Like there's not even leaving people in the back door, stuff like that. Just fully fucking open. If the police come, they'll say, "Oh, sorry, boss, we'll close up now," and then they'll just fucking open up again. You know, there's too many pubs. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That is very scary about that now apparently the police are getting involved in this.
Yeah.
I read that in one of the articles about Estonia as well, that the police apparently, they say, will be walking around the street making sure that no more than 2 people are walking together. Whoa.
Yeah.
That's some
Police
fucking
state shit, like, you know.
100% police state shit.
Yeah.
Like that's the biggest, let alone there might be some meetings of people here, there, but the walking down the street of 3 people is the problem. I'm not saying that people should do it. I'm not trying to be a fucking anti-vaxxer saying that, no, it's fine. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it's the level of enforcement that the police are going to
that's your
tell
Australian coming out like
Right, yes.
The Estonian people would probably actually go, fair enough.
Yeah.
We'll be nice and
Even for me, this is like too much police state.
yeah.
Like, the question was posed to me yesterday. How would I want my kids in Estonia to view the Estonian police? Because we have wonderful, attractive, bright-eyed young people like Roger Andre who have... I love Roger because he has no fear of the police. He is young, good-looking, comes from a good family, never had a run-in with the law, always lived in a comfortable circumstance. This man fully believes that the police are there to help him. He fully believes the police are there to do a good service, to help him and mankind. If he's in trouble, the police officer's gonna come and help him. Now, this is a little bit opposite to the view that you and I might have coming from our cultures, from Ireland and from Australia.
And isn't it hard to try and change naturally? Or like my opinion of the police is, you know, fair enough. They are there to help us. But that dose of skepticism and suspicion is always there. Even here when there's, you know, a relatively low level of corruption and the police are actually good lads. It's just, the suspicion is always there.
It's hard to beat out of our systems.
Yeah.
And that's why I love Roger. He's totally naive about it. He doesn't feel it.
Yeah.
Right? For me, I like if I see the police van when I'm driving down the street, I want to drive on another street.
Oh yeah.
Like I just don't want to be around the police. If the police guy's there, I just don't, like there's no need for you to see me. I know I'm not doing anything wrong, but if I'm in your vision, there is the possibility that you could find something wrong with me. Therefore, I do not want to be in your police vision.
Like I was driving around this morning and there was a police van, like 3 or 4 cars back, and I was going 50. I was fine. No laws being broken. But in my mind, I'm like, I'm breaking every law. I'm fucked. I'm fucked.
You're fucked. He's coming for
He's
you.
coming for me.
Because that's the programming in our...
And you're looking in the mirror like, is he going to take my turn? Should I turn off into the street? I had no intention of turning off just to see if he's fucking following me type of thing, you know?
Like when I was about 10, you can get fined for riding your bike without your helmet in Australia. All ages.
Same here, isn't it?
All ages. I bet all ages. Here it's just kids.
All right.
And I was 10 and I got fined. I got like a $30 fine
Fucking, you filthy criminal.
by the police when I was 10. And now I kind of look, and I just accepted it as what it was. Now I look back and go, what are you doing fining fucking 10-year-olds, you animals? So my point of all of this was, let's say I need to raise a little bright-eyed Estonian child one day. I think I don't want to give them this view of the police until they leave Estonia. Then I'm going to want to tell them. Like, I want them to have that naivety. They don't need to have that fear that we have if you grow up here. But if they leave Estonia, you got to know, like, not all police are as good as these police.
Yeah, just let them fuck up. That'll be my attitude. Just let them fuck up. You know?
I'm totally behind that.
Kids are too fucking protected and all that shit today. Just let them fuck up.
Let them fuck up.
You know, I fucked up a lot as a kid, and I turned out perfectly fine, didn't I?
Yeah, look at this guy.
No, I don't know. I don't think I'll ever shake that suspicion of the police. I just
How do you think you're going to impart that to your children? What do you want to give? What impression?
chuck them out the door, and that's that. That's what was done. I mean, like, I'm not an anti-vaxxer or anything. Like, I'm for all that stuff, but at the same time, like, I couldn't imagine like not letting a kid play in a nettle bush. You know what I mean? Let him play in the nettle bush. He's gonna sting and he's gonna hurt, but he's gonna learn. You see. Whereas today, kids are fucking. Just talking like an old man now, like the kids today are fucking coddled, like, you know, they're.
Yeah, let him go. Like if my child came back and said, "Oh, the police gave me a fine for the helmet," I'd be like, "Yeah, cool, okay.
Yeah.
So how are you going to get the money to pay it off?" I wouldn't be angry. I'd be like,
Yeah.
Okay, so you get congratulations, you had a run-in with a police officer."
I don't know. Raising kids in today's world is a scary thing.
And it's thankfully something that you and I are nowhere near.
Fuck that, man. Fuck that.
I don't do it.
But yeah, I mean, like when I go back to Ireland, like I say that, the healthy suspicion of the police. But even so, when I go back to Ireland, I have to pass through the border, which is run by the police. And there's always that like, "Oh, Tim, welcome home. Nice hat," type of thing, you know? And it's like, oh, yes, I love the police now. You know, I love it. Because now I'm back home and I can actually talk to them and communicate with them and stuff like that.
You think there's some sort of language barrier between? I mean, let's say even they do speak English.
It's just like me and James talked about this. The lack of, he called it banter. I'd call it crack. But the lack of banter you can have with random strangers in this country is soul destroying for someone like me and him, you know? So when we go home, we're almost like going into the shop and the woman's like, "Oh, how are you doing? You grand? Nice weather." We're like, "Oh." You know, we're so used to being insulated in this fucking cocoon in Estonia that when we finally go home, it's like shocking to, you know, and it's the same when I go back to the border. It's like, "Oh, how are you doing?" And you have to like reprogram your brain type of thing.
And you're okay, like once you get used to it, you're all
Yeah,
right.
it takes a day, but it's like jet lag, but it's like crack lag, you know?
Crack lag.
But even just remembering, just before the lockdown, I remember I drove down to Superalco down in Ikla. In Riga, and when I came back, the police were putting people over to hand out these coronavirus
I saw that you sent me
things,
a picture.
and my brain instantly went, "I'm going to prison."
Yes.
This is it.
Yes.
They know I did something 15 years ago. I'm fucked. I stole a pack of Maltesers from Tesco in Tralee. I'm fucked. They know I'm going to jail. That's it. They finally got me. They got their man. Oh, I don't know.
Because the flip side of all of the police thing is, like when I was trying to order some of this kratom stuff from, which is not particularly legal in Estonia, and I tried to bring it in, and eventually one of the packages got found. And they asked me I had to go down and explain myself to the Maksu Yatoliamet. And my Australian brain interpreted that as, okay, I got caught. All right. Here's my chance to do some intelligence gathering. I get hauled in front of the Maksu Yatoliamet and I have to explain myself, I have to pay a fine. Fair enough. I have to my reparations for the crime that I have done, no problems. But the Australian brain says, okay, I'll pay my fine. All right, okay, I'll do my service, whatever I have to do. But I will find information. I will learn about your processes. I will learn about how you found me. I will learn about the things that you do.
So that the next time you order it, you'll
and adapt.
be smarter.
Will adapt. So you can always see the positives in any negative, and that's how the Australian...
How did that end up? Did you get a fine or what happened?
I got
there?
a fine. Yeah, I got a fine. 300 euros or something like that for doing that.
Steep.
It was interesting. I think I talked on one episode about this. I can't remember. I'm sorry if you're a listener and you keep hearing my same stories over and over again. But I had to explain, and they're like, "Why do you want to bring this stuff in?" And I'm like, "It just makes me feel nice. I think it helps me in these dark days." And then this is all going through a translator, which was hard because I'm trying to give my statement and trying to give my side of the story and my justifications, but it's going through a translator, and you can't really give more than a sentence at a time. So it's hard to sort of paint your own picture when you have to very succinctly and compactly give your story in one sentence, not using too many complicated words or word structures. So that was kind of hard for me to get across my side. She's like, "Why do you like this stuff?" And I'm like, "Okay, let me tell you." And I got an insight when dealing with the officer from the Maxwell Yotolia Met, and she's like, she looks at me and says, okay, the translation was, what advice can you give me? Can you tell me what us, the Maxwell Yotolia Met, what we can tell to young people to not be into this? And I was like, bitch, what? I was like, what? Like, what? How can you? What advice do you have for us to convince others that such things are not good? And I'm like, you have zero idea about the way that people look at drugs, new substances, different things. You have no concept of this. And it was in that moment because I thought maybe someone on the front lines of the Maxwell Yotolia Met, they are intercepting packages. They are literally talking to the people who are, and again, we're not talking about like hard drugs and stuff like that. We're talking about stuff that happens to have been scheduled by the government. And there's so many things that I believe it's very hard to tell what is what. We're not talking about hard drugs here. They're talking about stuff that just happened.
They didn't
to be
catch
scheduled.
the heroin package that you had ordered in,
Thankfully, because that's how I'm making money these days.
Yeah, gotta hustle.
And I thought maybe someone on the front lines who's dealing with that stuff might not have an enlightened view, a realistic view. That she might have a more realistic, and it was totally unrealistic. It was like, why are the young people doing this? We don't know. How can we stop them? What advice do you have? I'm like,
when she asked you that though, did she recognize you as a figure of well, not like a celebrity? No, it was purely just she would have asked anyone.
Yep, as she would have asked anybody. Okay. And that's when, and that's where you think like people, friends of mine that I talk to, and they're like, yeah, Estonia is cool. I think in the next couple of years, we're probably going to legalize or decriminalize the marijuana. No fucking way. No way is this country decriminalizing marijuana anytime in the foreseeable future. Yeah. That's what I understood from this encounter. I realize it's one person, but I could sort of, then you extract, like, who are the people in power? Like, this is not California with cool, laid back administrators and government officials who are, no. We might all be cool. We might all be, but the people who are, they won't make that decision. Yeah. Now, I don't know if that's a lot of ekra. They don't want to rock the boat, things like that. But no one in Estonian politics is making controversial things right now. Yeah. Our government might be dealing with the situation pretty well. They seem to be, fair enough. Yuri's done all right. Fair enough. Give him credit where it's due. But from that moment, that's where it all clicked in, and I kind of saw the bigger picture. I'm like, there is no way we are getting drug reform in this country anytime soon.
Yeah, it's kind of the same in Ireland. We have a politician in the European Parliament. His name is Luke Ming Flanagan, because he kind of looks like Ming the Merciless. And he's basically said that, look, the EU will sign off on EU-wide legalization way before Ireland will. It'll have to be fought for in Ireland. So probably,
I bet.
Yeah.
Okay, because that old conservative,
religious, gateway drug, weed, anything. Oh, alcohol, good. Alcohol, good.
Alcohol, very good.
Weed, bad. Weed, worse than heroin.
Yeah. Okay.
Alcohol, great though. Alcohol. Mwah.
Did we point out how good alcohol was?
Fucking tens of thousands of death by alcohol, but good. Makes you feel good.
Oh, it does.
I can tell you about my adventure this morning.
Yeah, it's all right. You want to tell what happened this morning?
You see, this is the thing, talking about the police van behind me, because I had actually probably broken a bunch of little laws, tiny ones.
Oh, the ones that don't matter.
Don't go up this street, don't drive this fast here, type of thing. But I couldn't sleep. I woke up at 5 o'clock this morning. I couldn't fucking sleep, which is funny because usually if I'm staying in Tallinn, I'm going to bed at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So this time I was up at 5, and I said, fuck it, I'll drive out to VMC and watch the sunrise.
So romantic.
So I start driving out, and I call my friend Nick in Michigan on Messenger. I said I'd just show him around, So I start driving around. I say, look, I'm going to go to the TV tower. Show him the TV tower, one of the tallest structures in Estonia. Tell him about how they used to get messages from Finland back in Soviet times and all that stuff. And went there, drove right up to the front door of it. Drove around the tank that's there, the thing, like total pedestrian area, drove around there. Good crack, no one around. Then I drove down to the Song Festival grounds. I thought, yeah, I'll show them the Song Festival grounds. So I just drove in. Just drove right fucking in. And just you know, in Ireland, if you see that red circle with the white line through it, you're going to be good out of fear that the police were going to drag you out the car and beat the shit out of you. But this morning I was just like, do you know what? We're in the middle of a pandemic now. I can do what I want.
Yes.
So I drove in there, I parked up, I got out, I walked around, I sat in the big stage thing. I had a little song. I sang a little song.
Beautiful.
I sang the old Triangle, old Irish song. Hopped back in the car, drove back into the city, and I drove into the old town. I drove right into Raikoya Platz. Oh, it was just great. Like I had the freedom of the city.
You drove into the town hall square.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Which road did you drive in on?
So I wasn't going to drive up Viru because I just know I'd have been fucked. I tried to drive up Harju, but that was blocked. So what I did was I went around the old town. This was like SAS shit, fucking infiltrating the old town. So I drove down fucking Lai, turned right and up Pick past Hellhunt, straight down Pick, and then turned left, we left off one of those streets into the town hall square, and I just drove around. And I thought, because I don't know if you call them these, but you know the hazard signs. The hazard lights are called the Park Anywhere lights in Ireland. You just put them on and you can just say, look, I'm delivering something, or, you know, once those lights are on, the law can't do nothing to you. Because I'm here for 5 seconds and I'll go. So then I put on my hazard lights and drove around the town hall square, and then I just drove all over the old town, and fucking, it was wonderful. It was great.
It sounds serene.
Because there wasn't a soul out. There was a street cleaner, and there was one fella in a pickup truck with a flashing light on it, kind of follow me around, but he didn't, did nothing to me. And I drove up to where the Parliament buildings are, and I fucking just kept driving around, driving up wrong way streets and forbidden zones, and getting out and going into courtyards and shit.
Was there anything, I guess nothing's open, you can't go for breakfast anywhere, get a coffee or something?
But I've never seen the city like that before, No one around, because I'm never up that early in the morning. But especially, I've never been up that early in the morning in the middle of a pandemic where people are staying at home. And it really felt like 28 days later type of stuff, The roads were empty. The whole thing. Oh yeah, I drove right up to the fucking Estonian National History Museum, which was gated, but I got out and I walked around the edge to show my friend the Lenin statue graveyard.
Which
that's
one's
out
the
back.
National History Museum? Which one's that?
I think it's called the National History Museum is down in Tartu. The National Museum is in when you're heading towards VMC by the sea there. You know that big fucking...
Oh, yeah.
I went there and I found a giant pipe. A huge plastic black pipe. And I screamed into the pipe and it echoed for 10 minutes. And I just had a wonderful morning, Lewis, driving around, having the crack. And then I saw the police van and I was like, yeah, no, I'm going to pay for everything.
After all that, right?
I'm going to pay for everything.
It's one car on the road. And
but I got away with it, so.
That's the thing about driving around late at night or early in the morning. There's more, I think even though there's less cars on the road, more likely the police will pick you up because... Yep. You're more likely to stand out, and I'm standing out. I'm sure of it.
Fucking put the hazard lights on, and you get away with everything.
I had last week. My car had a service last week. It had a small problem with the brakes. It was like a sensor on one of the rear brakes had failed, and so it was giving me issues. And it would clunk and do these things, but what would happen is you just drive down the street long, and it would go clunk, 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 clunk because of the brake, and then somehow the sensor would just trip off, and then it would be fine. So, there wasn't physically anything wrong with it. It was the sensor reading it wrong. And so I'd have to drive down the street for fucking 300 meters, gun it for 300 meters, and that would sort of trip the sensor off.
Yeah.
And then the car would be fine. But it got progressively worse. And it was 100 meters I had to gun it. And then 200 meters I had to... And then finally the sensor would snap off and that would be fine. And it got so bad at the end... I worked out that the sensor would trip easier if I was going in a turning, when I was turning. So on the final day, when I have to drive it to the mechanic and the thing just won't, it's dung. My car is dung.
Fucking hell,
So I go to the dirt car park around the corner from where I am in Tondi. And I'm basically in my Volvo XC90 doing donuts, doing circle work in the dirt car park, trying to make my brakes tick over.
Yeah.
And I'm just vroom, 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 and it won't do it. And I have to just go round and around, and I reverse and I go back, and I'm just doing these burnouts in the dirt out the front of these people's houses. And I was like, I'm good. I'm good for 3 reasons. Number one, I'm Australian. It's our God-given right to do circle work in a dirt car park.
In an SUV.
In an SUV. Number 2, it's the pandemic. Really? You're going to fucking come out? No one's talking to nobody. Third, even if the police do come along, I've got a really good excuse. I'm like, officer, I'm so glad you're here, officer.
Yeah.
I have a problem with my car, and the only solution for it is I must do circle work in this dirt car park. It pains me, officer. It pains me.
You're almost hoping that a policeman takes it down.
But I'm gonna have to explain to him why I'm doing circle. Nah. Circle work's great, officer. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
But have you ever driven around the city or really early just for the crack, like just to?
Not that I can recall, but recently it's serene. It's nice.
When I was on a messenger with my friend, he kept saying like, "Hang on, a second ago you were in this built-up area with these apartment buildings, and now you're in a forest. What the fuck is with that?" And it made me really made me realize that we have a lot of fucking trees in the city. Like that whole area around Lasnama and Cadriorg is fucking just forest. Commie block. It's interesting.
I had a friend come over the other day to my apartment, and she said, "Don't you feel a bit weird? Because my new apartment is under the flight path. Like it's under the trajectory that they come on. It's not. I'm not very far from Yadvavan.
Dumping chemtrails on you. Fuck.
Yeah, I've got the anti-vax. I know, but I'm like right next to Yadvavana, so I'm kind of under that. And she's like, "Isn't it the isn't the plane noise, doesn't it disturb you?" I'm like, "No, actually I love it. I love the plane noise.
Really?
It makes me think I'm in a bigger city. I can remind myself finally. I'm next to the Vika Tallinn train station. Maybe one of the Elron orange things comes through. The plane goes overhead, and just for a second I can think, I'm in a real city.
That's why I can never live in a city. I'll never be able to live in a city. Even one the size of Tallinn, I would struggle. I would. I'd have to have somewhere I could go like out of the city to get away because I just can't deal with it.
It's very cathartic.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people like could not imagine themselves not living in a city. And I guess fair enough, you have access to lots of stuff, but just couldn't do it.
It's not Tim
Drive me
style.
fucking crazy. Yeah.
We went shooting on Sunday.
We did. We shot a few COVIDs.
COVIDs?
We shot a few COVIDs.
Is that the brand of gun?
That's the virus. That's the pandemic.
Oh, COVID. Sorry. Yes, COVID. Yes.
There was a bunch of bad COVIDs that we had to take care of.
Bad COVIDs. So Tim and I on Sunday, Tim called me up. He came to Tallinn. We went shooting at this place in Tondi. The Ghost.
Tondi Laskatir, the Ghost Tactics.
Laskatir, yeah. It was good. The guy was nice.
Yeah, they're very nice inside there. Yeah.
So we shot a range of different weapons. I don't even name. Do you remember the name?
We did. We shot a 1911 pistol, 9mm. We shot a AK-47, an SKS rifle. We shot a M400 Sig Sauer fucking a mass shooting gun. The fucking assault rifle and a bunch of other stuff. Oh yeah,
AK-47.
AK-47, the Taurus blue revolver, and a bunch of stuff.
It was good.
It was fun. Yeah, really makes you realize how difficult it is. Well, you did much better than me though. Like accuracy wise.
I don't want to claim that I've got some skill. I've seemed to always been all right.
Yeah.
I've never really had the training. I've been to the gun range a few times. I can always do reasonable. I don't know why. I'm not.
I always go for speed, you see. I just want to fucking get the rounds
Fuck that guy up.
Yeah.
Fuck that target up.
But it was good, though. And at the very, very end, as like a special... Because the final rifle we shot was the SKS, which has a little bit of a kick to it. And Lewis was like, yeah, I like the kick. And he was like, do you want to feel real kick? And he brought out a fucking elephant gun, which I've looked it up. And I think that one is like a World War One proper fucking elephant gun.
That gun, really? That was
Yeah.
at World War One
Yeah,
level?
yeah.
Looked a bit, okay, cool.
And just one shell.
One shotgun, big ass shotgun shell.
I wish I asked him the caliber, but I forget. And popped it up and fucking... I have the video. I don't know if you've posted it anywhere, but you can't hold on to this thing. You pull the trigger and it fucking flies and your shoulder goes into orbit. But it was a lot of fun, though.
It was good, that last one, because I did the final gun, and then by the time we did the final one, I was like, yeah, I'm into this kick. Like, I want more.
Yeah,
and the guy's like, yeah, I'll bring you one. Don't worry about it. Like, more, boom, boom. Like, I'm getting that.
And that was vicious, that one. That was fucking...
I like it. Oh, I'm a bit... This is where I'm like... I do like American freedoms.
Yeah.
I'm like, we get to shoot a gun? Oh, it's kind of actually all right.
Oh, there's a lot of Estonian gun owners out there now going, fucking American freedoms? You fired a gun in Estonia, bro. What are you fucking saying? American.
It's true. That's true. And also, so many of... what's easy for us to forget is that so many of the male population actually have done this before.
Oh, yeah.
Through the training. We haven't even... You and I haven't done no
We're
fucking...
just... we're little girls in the fucking candy shop here, like, you know.
We haven't done no Uraki fucking 8 months in the army. We haven't done anything like that.
Yeah.
Because we got the... Didn't we? We got the... Oh, no, what was I going to say? About the gun range. Yeah, before I talk about Uraki. So it was cool. And because the last time I shot guns was with Dita in Atlanta. And the basic story is Dita looks at his watch and goes, oh, we've got an hour. What are we going to do? And he's like, come with me. So we take a hit from we take a hit of weed from the e-cigarette thing, whatever it is. Or he's got some vape, vape. We take a hit of the vape that's got the weed. Nothing's hit me. We jump in the Porsche that Dita has. We scream off around the streets. This street, that street, down the highway, this way, this way.
Where was this? It was Texas, right? Wasn't it?
Atlanta.
So
Georgia.
Okay,
so still south of America. We scream off down here. He hasn't told me yet where we're going. We scream at his car park, stop. And I'm like, what is this place? And he's like, it's the gun range. And I'm like, fuck yeah. We open up, we walk in to the front door, and bam, this is when the weed hits me. And all of a sudden, I'm high as shit, and we're at the gun range. And when you walk into this place, it was like walking into a 7-Eleven. There was a counter, there was a glass counter with guns laid out. You're like, I'd like this one, please. I want to shoot this gun. I want to shoot that gun. I'm going to need some bullets for this one. I'm going to need bullets for this. I'm going to need this. And he literally puts all of this stuff in a shopping basket. Like a Remy shopping basket. The one that you get at Remy or Prisma or whatever.
Yeah.
It's literally I've got my guns. I've got a handgun. I've got a Dirty Harry. I've got all the bullets that I need in, and then you walk through another door and you go to the actual shooting range, and you can take your booth in the shooting range. And so we're squeezing off Dirty Harry rounds. We got some Glock rounds. We're shooting that off. I'm high as shit. And like, it's my God-given American liberty, freedom rights to shoot a gun whether I'm high. It's fucking great. We're having a good time. And then finally, Dita says, do you want to try something else? And I'm like, yeah, sure, what is it? And he's like, wait here. And he comes back and he's got a machine gun, like a semi-automatic like machine gun. He's like, it's on special. This is machine gun of the week. And it was literally machine gun of the week.
Shit, yeah.
Yeah. And like, he's like, it's a good price. Don't worry about it. And we both got clips and we got to squeeze them off Scarface style.
Oh, that's fully automatic. So
yeah, we were squeezing,
right.
Fully automatic squeezing them off. And it was down. Because one thing I noticed when you and I shot the AK-47, we were still doing it with iron sights, right?
Yeah,
we put up the sight and bam, bam, bam. But I didn't want to sound like an idiot when we were there. But I wanted to say to him, dude, can I shoot from the hip? Like, can I be a...
He probably would have let you, yeah. But it would have still been semi-automatic, like
true.
Because fully automatic is illegal. It's illegal in America too. I'm surprised you could do that at the range.
Look at it. Look, it's the South. You can do whatever you want. It's all about guns, baby. It's all.
Yeah.
Maybe it's also because it's at the gun range. Maybe that's different.
Maybe, yeah. My one regret. Well, no, do you know what? Wasn't my one regret because I drove across America.
So many regrets
in 2013, and me and my friend were in. Well, actually, funnily enough, we went to Henderson, which is a small satellite city of Las Vegas, but we never went into Vegas. We just whatever. But there was a gun range there where you could first of all get in a buggy and drive like on a rally thing, then go from the buggy onto the range. And because it's Nevada, you can get a blowjob while you're firing a gun. And I was like, oh man,
yes.
shit.
That's
God bless
living.
America.
Bless America. I want a Statue of Liberty outfit
Yeah.
on. I want that crown or something I'll be
Yeah.
holding. In one hand with the gun, the other hand I'm holding the Statue of Liberty flame
yeah.
while I'm getting a blowjob. That's freedom. Freedom.
Oh, because people have to understand, we're from countries where guns are fucking...
So illegal.
You know, you had the Port Arthur massacre in Australia.
We handed them all in. Yeah, there's no more guns left.
The UK had Dunblane massacre, and then Ireland kind of went, "Yeah, fuck it, you'll take our guns too." So, you know, guns to us is...
Well, it's just that freedom of having the gun.
Yeah.
And this doesn't like... Yeah, we're making jokes. I do see that, okay, there's school shootings and all that stuff. Like, I'm not trying to propose. I'm not trying to be a
It's just
gun
an
nut.
enjoyable... It's an enjoyable thing for two men.
Oh,
Two men
did
go
like
out and pull triggers and bullets come out and we hit COVIDs.
Oh, I hit the COVIDs.
Hit the
COVID.
The funny thing about that range, though, is that they used to, years ago, the target was a bad guy holding a naked woman. and the guy would always say, aim for the head and aim for the leg and aim for that. And you're trying your best to hit the head of the man and not hit the woman. And then he hands you a shotgun with fucking spray. And it's like, oh, rest in peace, woman. You know?
Guns.
Yeah.
I think we have no chance of getting a gun here in Estonia, like owning one ourselves.
You could. I couldn't.
Wait, why am I different? Because I'm a temporary resident, but somehow that allows me to...
You can.
Okay,
Yeah.
even
You
with
just
that,
have to
okay.
sit. You have to fill out the form and go through this course, and you'd have to hire a translator to do the test and stuff. But you could, yeah.
Sounds like a lot of work, but
But
sure.
it would be. I don't think you could get it for personal protection, like handgun stuff. You could probably only get rifles for hunting.
Okay, yeah,
You know,
sure.
which I don't know what the fuck you'd be hunting here. Bunnies and foxes and shit. I suppose, you know. Yeah.
Have you ever been hunting?
No, never. No, I never fired a gun until I came here.
Huh.
Never.
Okay.
You know, there are ranges in Ireland, but again, it's shotguns and rifles and no fun stuff. You know, there's a range in Tallinn that lets you fire two handguns at the same time, which is
shit,
it's
that's
TLK up in fucking Copley. Probably the one you went to.
Fucking Duke Nukem style. Boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Come get some. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, it's gone good. I'm sorry. There's a sound going on. It's always just me adjusting the microphone. It's just like if I adjust my balls or adjust the microphone.
I'm just worn out. I'm wrecked tired. I'm fucking.
Hey, don't
Went out with Rauno last night and.
Rado Kuzik.
Rauno, fucking madman entirely.
Stop.
Rambling around, going from door to door, trying to find a place to get a drink after 10 o'clock.
You can't do it.
Nah.
You'd have to find some speakeasy that's open,
Yeah.
some sort of underground.
Yeah.
Sandra said you're not. When are you going to do Sandra's show? You said you postponed again.
We know we were supposed to do it last Thursday, but he was feeling sick, and then he messaged me yesterday seeing if I was free later this week. But I'm not. I'm still feel like shit too, so we might do it. I suppose next week.
You seem fine. What are you talking about?
My throat is fucked. My throat's fucked.
Stop putting it off. Just go and do it.
I was ready to go last Thursday, but he was sick. So
Okay.
you know.
All right. Next week we'll go.
But the plan was that we're gonna make pizza. We're gonna drink beer and make pizza.
as a part of Sandra's new cooking
Yeah.
show. Yes.
I'm gonna make the dough in Paida, bring it down with me, and we're gonna use his lovely fucking wood burning stove. I'm lucky bastard with that stove to make pizza.
Lucky bastard living in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, he's got a wood burning stove though. It's a
And a
fucking
wood
game
burning
changer.
sauna as well. Because that's all. I mean, that's the big thing. Sandra's cooking show is now where everything's at. That first video's got 20,000 views. That's
Yeah,
not bad.
yeah.
And everyone's cooking bread. Thank you,
Yeah.
Sandra, for your bread.
Yeah.
It was great.
I'd like to see. I was gonna say someone like you on it because he's been a professional chef, right? So when you watch Sander cook, his instincts are very sharp. Like he can just when you watch him mix something in a bowl, it's second nature to him. But he's a professional, so you can see when he slices an onion, you can tell he's purposefully slicing the onion with the right weight, right everything. So I'd like to see someone like you go.
Here's your onion.
Because I'm nowhere near professional, but I'm extremely autistic when it comes to cooking, especially like, you know, preparing stuff from scratch. So I'd love to go put my fucking skill up against his and see how fucking.
I want it. Whenever you're there, I'm gonna come. We're gonna do it. You guys make the episode. I'll be in the background. Maybe I'll film a little something or record a little something.
Next week for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Next week we're going up to see Sanda. Good. Maybe Friday. I'm hoping we're gonna do Silicadri live. Yeah, I found the adapter, the thing that can allow us to plug this mixer desk into
My
a
mystery fucking adapter. If anyone's seen a Rode adapter out there, let me know because I lost it.
Tim loses everything.
I fucking lose everything. That's why it's a good thing I give you stuff because I wouldn't still have these lights if they were in my place. They just disappear.
Half of the tech that we have is donated by Tim at one stage or another. That one of us have gone like, oh, that looks nice, and Tim, like the eternal grandmother, just gives us.
We'll see. To me, I've no use for this stuff. I buy stuff because I'm stupid and I have a few beers and I go on Amazon and I go, yes, I'm gonna buy that, and then it sits in my drawer. You know? When I was living in Ireland, actually, this is the thing. Like, if you ever came to Ireland, you would have to come down to my mother's house.
I'd love to see it
and go into the attic because it is a fucking treasure trove. Like I have like 2 drum kits in there. I have like 50 different ethnic instruments, musical instruments. I have a whole corner full of video games consoles. I have a load of capture cards actually. Remember that?
I take them
just
all.
like boxes and boxes of cables and old hard drives full of who knows what, and just bags of shit. It's like everywhere, and I have no time to go through it. So, you know, I have a PS1 that has the guts of an N64 inside it.
Jesus, how come? Why is that?
I just saw it on eBay and I bought it. And you press the little circle bit on the top of the PS1. You press that, and it slides out, and that's where you put the cartridge in.
Jesus!
Yeah,
I got to see this.
There was this fella. His name on YouTube. I've been meaning to link this to you. His name is Hellraiser on YouTube.
Okay.
And he's this old guy who makes these like Frankenstein consoles. So he'd put the guts of a Sega Game Gear into like a Wii U body or something like that. And he had a little eBay shop back then, so I bought that off him.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
How's the our Amazon order? Is that coming from the UK?
I haven't checked my mail today. No,
I'm just interested in like how is infrastructure going? How do orders? How long shit's taking?
This was the first time ever when I was like, oh shit, Brexit's actually going to affect me. Right. Because all the time, hey, I got a Ryanair cancellation email. Nice. There goes my flight to Manchester next month. I was actually wondering about that because Ryanair have really been pushing the cancellations to the last minute to kind of force you to cancel so they don't have to pay you. The filthy fuckers.
I had that same thing. Norwegian were kind of the same. Norwegian were being real stingy and were holding out.
Really? Norwegian?
They were one of the last. Yeah. Finnair had offered it. SAS had offered it. A whole bunch of airlines had offered it. But Norwegian had not offered the refunds yet. And I was like, oh, do I just cancel? I'm like, no, I'll just leave my flight. I'll leave it. And then after they get forced to cancel, then they have to offer me a refund. Like, why would you cancel a flight? Why not just, I mean, if you don't go, you don't go. It doesn't matter. Why would I actually bother to go to the website and cancel that? You may as well just wait. I don't get the...
You should always wait because if you cancel, you're fucked. But as soon as they're forced, they have to pay you.
Right.
You know?
I think when Jordan Brooks, the shows that we had to cancel last week, I think we're getting all of his flight money back.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because I
that
waited
Norwegian too, or?
For exactly one Norwegian, one Finnair, exactly for that reason that I was like, do I bother to cancel them? I don't know. And then I waited 4 more days, and then all the flights got cancelled, and so then the airline has to refund you.
Yeah, that's fucked. Anyway, our estimated delivery date is the 6th of April, though.
Oh, okay, all right.
Big old order. Fuck me, man.
But that's all right. Good to know that shit's coming from the UK. It's going to take still 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, such is life.
For some reason, I ordered a bottle of sriracha sauce, which is stupid because I can just go over there and buy it.
Yes, they have it here in Selva and stuff. You can. It's not that
but you see, the world of sriracha, Lewis, is a complicated one lately.
Tell me,
because you have the original, right, which is what I ordered off of Amazon.
Yeah.
It's made by the fucking...
That's the cock sauce with the cock on the front. By the bird cock, by the way. Yes.
But then you have the Flying Goose brand, which is not great. But the fuckers have the same exact design. They only replaced the cock with the goose. So they fool people into thinking. And now you have all these other knockoff things, and there's a difference. The original sriracha's the best.
I bet, for sure. It's got to be. There was one company in Estonia. I bought like 4 bottles of it at one stage because that's like one import company in Estonia would import it. And I found them. They had an online shop. But then I went, I got it. So I bought 4 big bottles. Like, you ain't eating 4 bottles of that in your lifetime. And all of a
Do you
sudden
like spicy food?
Like, yeah, but not lots. Like, I'm not like putting it on.
Yeah. Because Estonians, they don't know what spicy food is.
Not really.
You know?
No, they're unaccustomed to it.
Like
and I've become unaccustomed living here. Like, you lose it a bit.
Oh, I fucking force it one way or the other. Like, I mean, I have a load of spicy shit in my fridge just to add to stuff that I'll... If I'm ordering pizza kiosks, which is my only option in pie, that God help me, I'll like fuck on some jalapenos and...
I'll add it to the pizza.
Yeah, I'll add it. Yeah, when I get it, yeah.
Dang.
It is like a drug, right? Like spicy food, it releases some shit in your brain, and I don't know how it works, but you know.
We can't get... so nothing's open. Baltiam's not open right now. We can't get New Face.
Oh yeah, shit.
Is that New Face? We're going to talk. What's his name? With the glasses, the Asian guy.
Yeah, is it all closed?
Is it? I don't know. Is it?
I don't think so. Not yet. I don't think so.
Is
It would want it not to be because I have to head in there tomorrow. So.
Well, tomorrow's Thursday,
Yeah.
so maybe that's still before the mall closure.
Maybe. Oh, because that's a real pity now for that place because that, like the malls will survive, but all those small businesses might. Their margins are very tight, I'd say.
I bet.
Like especially the Italian deli where they have to import everything, you know. So fuck, didn't think about that.
Can't get the stuff in. No people are coming through. Yeah, because like coming back to that discussion we had before about venues, that okay, maybe you have a benevolent landlord who sees the greater picture and says, okay, we're going to waive the rents for the next 2 months, you know, because they appreciate that. Yes, they may have to pay rent themselves, but fuck, if I throw out all these tenants, I'm fucking myself. Imagine if Baltiam just go, nope, you're all fucked. I'll get out. Like, no, you fucked Baltiam.
Yeah.
You know, so there's some, but then the Italian.
I
guy.
just that new kebab place was supposed to open up this weekend.
Oh, which place? Where?
In Baltiam Turk, you know the brand new kebab place
there is?
that's right. You sent me a picture of it when they were setting up.
Oh yeah, where the bar used to be downstairs. Yeah,
and now they probably won't be able to open at all.
No.
Oh, that's bad.
That's right. Where Humala Koda had their downstairs bar in the main section. I guess they worked out no one was buying drinks there anymore.
Yeah.
And so that was going to be a kebab store. Right. Yeah.
I guess it won't be fucking opening now. I don't know. Pity.
I can't imagine this is a good time to open a store.
No. Especially kebab.
I'd like dirty meat, please. Do you have dirty meat? Because I'd really love some dirty meat.
Yeah. That'll be. I better go stock up on fucking pancetta tomorrow. So.
What time do they close? 7? I guess we could walk down after this. Oh, you want to take it back with you though, so you want.
Oh yeah. I have a fridge in where I'm staying.
I'm not convinced that they're open right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get my hopes up, Tim Reidy.
We'll have a look. But but just speaking about the hotel I'm staying in, it has 247 rooms. 2 of them are booked out. Me and some Danish businessman.
How did you find that out?
Because he was in the lobby sitting down. And the lady at the counter says, usually we have 247. Today it's you and this gentleman here.
That's it.
And he was like, oh. And I just assumed from his stiff nature that he was Danish. He might not be. I don't know.
Dang. So you're in the Radisson right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
I would never stay there usually. I'd stay in fucking Bern or somewhere like that. It's not a knock on Bern, but it's just nice and cheap. But because there's fucking nothing, the prices are, gone down. So.
Dang. Can you hear that? I was told that at some stages in this podcast, you can hear a weird sound. And it just dawned on me that it might be sometimes when the wind blows, you can hear the metal sheeting on the window.
Are you sure they're not just talking about your voice?
You can hear it now.
What is that though? Is it?
That's there's metal on the windowsill.
Like a metal covering to stop pigeons or something like that. Or?
Yeah, just let's have silence so we can hear it. I don't know if everyone... I'll have to listen back to this.
Yeah, you probably will, yeah.
If everyone heard this. Because someone was like, listen to and like, can you hear this? It's a weird sound. And I'm like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's Tim farts. I don't know what it is. Anyway, okay, now
Stop.
it stops. Now make a fool of me, and now it starts up again. Go fuck yourself. I don't care. Oh, all this. It's very hard to stay motivated in these days. It's hard to like. It sounds like, oh yes, now are the great days to plan. Now are the days when you can prepare and you've got extra time to. Make
But you have
sure
nothing to prepare for. You see,
because
There's nothing
without
to
the
look
fire,
for. Yeah.
without the fire, it's very hard to like. I get it. I've got employees. I feel it myself. I'm trying not to like be super Nazi on my employees because I'm like, no, I feel it as well. It is very hard to keep focused these days. I appreciate that we're all trying, but geez.
What do you think about this work from home thing? Do you think? Because I have a journalist friend in London who he's worked from home now, and he's telling me that he's never been more productive. Like he's getting so much more done. And I was thinking, like, are the big firms now going to think, our productivity has gone up. Why do we need this big office in central London? You know, maybe we could make work from home a thing now, you know, because I like a lot of places are seeing productivity rises from letting their staff work from home, you know?
I think it might be, big companies and traditional offices might be feeling that.
Yeah.
Like for us, we have a pretty small office. We meet, we don't even have strict office times. Maybe we only come in for a few hours every day and then we meet, hang out. Because yes, your friend who is maybe a writer, maybe I agree, maybe way more productive. For most office workers, when you're working in a group or a team or something like that, I think there's a boundary between there's a whole lot of time where you'll be productive, they leave you the fuck alone, and you can just sit down and do your fucking work. But there's also a time where it is way quicker that we can just be in the same building, the same room, the same office, and we can just talk about something back and forth. I've known for a while now that I'm not real good at managing people remotely. I'm much better when I'm in front of people. My skill, whatever that might be, evaporates over Skype. I'm way better when I can just sit and talk with someone, work it out with
Crack
them.
the whip.
Bam! That's right. Hit the chains.
Yeah.
Fucking nah. So we're still having some meetings. Like today, Henrik came in. We just sat and talked, and that was I think we talked better than we would over Skype. But I admit, a lot of my day, I want my employees to fuck off. So I can do my work as well.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they don't want to talk to me either, so they can get on with their work. So I think there's a balance.
Yeah.
I think it's all not just about, we're all working from home, you'll never see me again. Because I felt like we had to come in on Monday and have a meeting. Because I felt like we needed a meeting to get back on track. I felt like in these difficult days when we're all up in the air and we're all like, oh my God, we're uncertain and what are we doing? I felt like I needed everyone to look at each other and then we could get back on track. And then, okay, maybe we can take the week without meeting again.
Yeah.
But I think it's hard if you never meet.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because I have no experience with any of this. Like I have one employee who is work from home for the last 7 years in Louisiana in
He's
America.
your server guy,
and that's it. No, the server guy works for Facebook in Dublin. He just kind of helps me out because he wrote all my software for free. Shout out to him, fucking hell. But the one guy I have, he's like a general administrator who does all the hard work. And I have no way of judging productivity for him, so, you know.
Does the work get done? Are you happy with it?
Yeah, I mean, I have a fucking event log where I can see everything he does, so I can see his productivity, but it's just the same all the time, you know. Maybe he's getting more done now because, I don't know, America's on lockdown, so I don't know.
Maybe.
This is all silliness to me, I don't know. I don't know, Lewis. I don't know if I could ever be a successful businessman like you, you know.
Oh, yeah, I'm Mr. Successful right here. SD100,
Well, see,
I'm it. Like
The thing about you is, right? As a businessman, yeah,
Sure.
you're able to crack the whip if you need to get shit done. You're able to do it, right? You're able to say, "Look, I need this done now." Da. If something has to be done,
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to do it. I just a bit too soft to be like, "All right, I'll do it." You know?
I think it's more than just going like, motherfucker, do it or I'll fucking... Ah.
No, but you know what I mean, though.
It's a bit more than that. There is hard things, right? But you've got to balance it off, I think. You have to view the bigger picture. How do I treat this person? Is this something that I ask them to do, typically? If it's not typically something I ask them to do, maybe they recognize that. How is my respect in their eyes? Do they see me as a good boss? Do they see me as a fair boss? Do They see me as a boss who generally doesn't overreact. If they see me as a boss who generally doesn't overreact, and I'm not saying I am, I will leave that judgment to my employees. If they think you don't overact, but the one time you do come and go, dude, you gotta fucking do this shit, I think you have a much higher chance of getting them to do it, right?
Yeah.
So there's that. There are times you'll have to do that. I emphasize for us, because our work is very seasonal. So we have the key months of, well, typically January through to May, and then September through to December, or basically September through to May or June is when we work. And then summer is a time off, or there are other times like I just let them take time off. Like I let them work from home, your own schedule, as long as the work's getting done. I'm not coming at 11. I don't care, because you're probably gonna have to go to an event. Like, give them all the room that they need, as long as they are doing the work. And then that makes me feel better when we have the really hard week that we're working fucking 2 a.m. every night. Show, travel, voodoo, show, Sadama, show, boom, boom, boom. I feel better because I did give them, and I said, hey, rest now, because you will work later, motherfucker. And it's very clear that, okay, there will be these times where I will ask you to work, but I've already put some deposits in the bank.
Because when I look at you and Comedy Estonia, I often wonder, like, this business grew very organically from the very, very start. How would it compare to some bucking who's like out of business school, who's he's had shit shoved into his brain like through education? Because those types always tend to end up in middle management or something like that. Or if they run their own business, it's always like it's very super structured and they're going back to what they learned in school and how to do things. And those are the fuckers who are always cracking the whip or being unreasonable or stuff like that. And I wonder, like, how would, if there was a Comedy Estonia competitor who came in and some businessman said, right, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. I wonder what would it be like? How would it look?
I'm not going to say, we can certainly have competitors. Absolutely. I think that the thing that has to get factored in here is what is the product you are selling? And the product that we're selling is art. Ultimately, is art. And art is not something that can be packaged up and just delivered on a set schedule. You can maybe deliver it on a yearly schedule. Sander can do a yearly tour, but I can't tell you, maybe Sander, Mikael Ari, great, they're pretty prolific. They can make a new 5 minutes every month. But you can't set such tight schedules on art. Maybe I do a new tour every year, but maybe not. Can't certainly do a new tour every 6 months. I can't dictate exactly. I know when I'm making units. I'm making units of things, and I know that every day I make X number of units, and this is what our factory makes. Art does not work like this. You need to understand and have that flexibility. These are not robots who are producing your art. These are artists, and they do not work to a set schedule. And this is a hard part, that your artists you don't know how much they're going to produce. You don't know when they're going to produce it. You can't guarantee that. Now, that doesn't mean they're lazy. That doesn't mean they're not working. That just means the process is not this guaranteed process. Now, there is, after a while as an artist, you know that if I sit down and I work and I write and I sit at that desk and I write and for X number of hours a day, then I will expect a certain amount of output once you get there. But you have to work very hard at getting that. Here's a discussion we were having today. We were talking about marketing artists. So if you take an established artist, let's say if you take Ari, Sander, or Mikael, and it's time for their tour. Cool. Now, they are very established comedians. They have established their voice. So I can make a marketing campaign that can sell you more Mikael Maimer tickets, right? Mikael might sell this many tickets, But I can make a marketing campaign. It's got a good video. It's got a nice picture. It does all these things. And it will sell more tickets than it did before due to this marketing campaign. Because Mikael Meimer is at a certain level. He's past a threshold of artistic growth. You might say, has he found his voice? Has he become experienced enough? There's a lot of different factors. Let's just say there's a threshold in art. He's found his voice. He knows who he is. He's getting good at his abilities. He's got the following. He's found a certain niche of fans. And we know that we can amplify that with a marketing campaign. Let's take the other end of the spectrum. Let's take our good friend Rauno Kusik. And this is not meant to speak down to Rauno. This is meant to reflect different comedians at different levels of their artistic development. With Rauno right now, I cannot construct a marketing campaign that will sell more tickets for Rauno. He's not at that artistic level yet. At the level that Rauno is at, and pretty much most of our comedians, I have to just let them do their thing. I have to just let them grow at the rate they want to grow. Comedy Estonia isn't summer camp. It isn't a program that you enter and there's a 1 week, a 2 week, a 5 week, a 6 month, a 8 month plan. There is this void, this gray period where it is Comedy Estonia is a framework. We give you shows, we give you a good environment where you can learn, we give you infrastructure, maybe there's podcast stuff, there's different things, we give you, maybe you want to do some shows, we can help you with that. But it's not like a program that you end at the end and you come out as a comedian. You have to do that development yourself. You have to, who am I as an artist? How is my growth going? How do people see me? What is my character? How am I developing? That is still ultimately down to the individual artist. And that's art. That's what art is all about. There is no promotion. There is nobody saying, now you're a senior artist and you get this X amount of thousands of euros per year. Now you're an advanced analysis artist. No one's telling you that.
Do you consider yourself an artist?
I do. I still keep that, even though I'm...
Because this is a very topical conversation because me and James spent a long time yesterday talking about comedy as art.
Okay.
And I have a very hard time considering what I would do to be art. And not like... It was a weird conversation because... Caleb got brought into it at some stage because James had said that Caleb said that the whole argument was is a bad comedian still an artist?
Okay.
Like someone, and when I say bad now, I mean someone who gets on stage every night, bombs every night, never gets a laugh, but keeps doing it, keeps getting on stage, and keeps performing. And James had said that Caleb said that a bad comedian is not a comedian, which he was wrong about. Caleb didn't say that, but the whole thing was like, is a bad comedian still an artist? Okay. And I wasn't saying that comedy isn't art. I was just saying that I have a terrible time trying to consider what I did on stage or what I do on stage to be art. I just can't. I'm like, no, it's not. So I don't consider myself an artist.
Sure.
And we never really got to the bottom of the conversation, but the main thing was like, is a bad comedian still an artist?
I think that if you are an artist or not, it is your decision about how you view your own mindset.
But comedy is an art form, right?
Is an art form, yes.
So if you're bad at it, are you still an artist? If you're a shitty painter, you're still an artist, right? Because art is subjective.
Okay, sure, that you are doing it. I think there are considerations here. I'm not going to say these are the things that define you as an artist or not. I'm just going to say these are considerations because I think that art is in your brain. Art is in the brain of the person receiving your art. Yes, I may have made a painting. That is a physical thing. But whether this is art or what it is or what the fuck this weird bit ink on canvas is down to how the person takes it in. It's all how we perceive it up here. You are an artist only if you think you're an artist. Now, you maybe happen to be doing stuff. I don't think I'm an artist, but you do some funny stuff and people go, hey, that's art.
What if you don't think you're an artist, but somebody else does?
Okay. What's the problem? What's the difference?
It's
Who cares?
well, because you said like you're only an artist if you think you are an artist.
Sure. But that someone else might still like it. So
Yeah.
some factors that can come into play. How do you treat what you do? Because there's some idea that I'm an artist. You know what an artist?
That's the part that gets me.
I have inspiration. Sometimes I just get divine inspiration, and that puts me into a state where I make my art because I am the artist who is possessed. Like some people think like that.
But you see, this is very much this is a me problem. This is not like
Sure.
saying that comedy isn't art.
No,
because I'm a painter too. I paint. I haven't painted in a while, but I did. But I would never consider that art.
Right.
Because it's shit. You know what I mean? A bad painting
So there's
of a
two
dog.
sides
you know?
to that. Maybe not. Maybe the person who just dabbles and just put a bit of paint on the canvas, put a bit of cane on the canvas. Sure, maybe they think it's not really art. I'm just doing it. Maybe, but then maybe there's some stage where that's held back because of your own insecurities, and you're like, I'm not an artist. I'm not that. Okay, another way to define artist is like, how seriously do you treat it? Like, do you sit down and do you work at it? Like, because my problem is that people think art is, I will write when I am possessed. I will when I have the vision that comes from the heavens. It will fill me and then I will pour it out. But I do not feel the vision today. We talk about comedians. I mean, I talked earlier about the unknown output of the artist. I said that we can't guess or gauge or rely on the output of the artist, which makes the business unique, which was the greater point that I had before. Why can't a proper businessman who's a trained business guy from EBS or some shit run this sort of business? Because you need to be wary that this is not a product. This is not just a unit shifting thing, that there are many considerations. And this is not, that was kind of where I was going with all that. So I also don't want to say that, I didn't want to imply that artists are flaky, that they're lazy, that they don't put in effort, which all those may be true.
Yeah,
That's
certainly in
not-
my case.
When I say that you can't guarantee the output of an artist, I don't specifically mean because they're lazy. I don't specifically mean because they do it when they want to do it. If you do it when you want to do it, you're not really doing it. You're not a professional. I might even say an artist is a professional, actually. I prefer that definition. To me, I prefer a professional. A professional gets up in the morning and says, I'm going to sit at that desk and I don't care if nothing comes out. I'm going to try,
So a bad comedian is an artist then?
I guess.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit at that desk. To me, it's more about, are you a professional at it? And that doesn't mean like I'm trying to take the art away, because I think the only way to produce, not to be an artist, to produce art is to be professional about it. Like if you have a job, here's the thing. If my job is writer, okay, maybe I'm a writer. I'm supposed to write books. I'm supposed to write articles. Blah, blah, blah. You can't just be like, I will write when I feel like writing. You have to sit down at 8 a.m., 9 a.m. and start writing and see how it's going to go and sit there at that desk. And if nothing comes out, nothing comes out. And if shit comes out, shit comes out. And if whatever comes out, you can't just write when you think the best stuff's going to come out. You have to treat it like a job. Like if you have any other job, you show up to that job whether you like it or not. If you have any other job, you show up to that, there's nothing to do. Well, then you don't do anything. But you don't go home. That's your job. That's what you do. To me, that's more of the bit that I'm interested in. Rather like someone consider themselves like, you have to sit there and do the work. Otherwise, the work will never come out. And then you might say, well, Lewis, aren't you distilling art down to this thing? Like, no, that's where art comes from. Art comes from the hard work. I don't think art comes from inspiration. oh, fucking God divine just hit me. I don't think that's where art comes from. I don't think that's where most professional artists who are actually making a living, let's say, not trying to say like they've sold out, but they're actually finding a way to live from their art. They're living because they sit down every day and they go, motherfucker, I'm going to make some art today. And today's art might not be good, but maybe tomorrow's art might be a bit better. So I sort of diverge it a bit into professionalism there, because I think that's a much more grounded way to look at it rather than to go like, what is art?
Yeah.
What is an artist?
Yeah. It was an interesting topic because it is all about like, well, my argument was from a point of like, I just don't, I could never consider what I do to be art. But it's very nuanced and complicated, I think.
Right. That's why I try to get away from the idea of art, because this idea of who is an artist, what it is, what qualifies as art is so individualistic and so like not quantifiable. Like, you're an artist, who cares? What's your output? I don't give a shit what title you put on it.
Yeah.
How's your output? Are you actually making good stuff that we like? Again, not to sound like the factory. This is not to make it sound like I'm a factory pumping out stuff. But are you doing funny jokes? You know? Because if you just, you know, if you're making funny stuff, then cool. I don't know.
What if you're not though? What if you're putting in the hours being professional and you're just bombing every day?
All right. So we're coming back to this idea. There's the comedian who is trying. So I'll ask you a few more questions about this hypothetical person then. They're going on stage every night. They're bombing. Are they trying?
Yeah.
Are they trying to write? They're trying to write. They're trying new stuff, but they keep bombing.
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
I know a few.
I don't. No. That they're genuinely trying, like genuinely going there. And are they doing what I said, sitting down at 9 a.m. and writing and coming up with stuff and genuinely putting in the hours of work?
For the sake of argument, let's say yes.
I don't think
you don't think that's possible.
No,
Really?
not really. No, I think that it is far more like, for every example that you know out there of that person that's going on stage and bombing and doing that, I think it's far more likely that they're not putting in the work. I'm not trying to say that just by putting in the work you'll get somewhere. But no, you'll get somewhere if you put in the work. If you sit down for several hours every day at that desk, you're not checking your fucking phone, you're not doing calls, you're not jerking off to porn, you're actually doing the work of stand-up, which is what? Taking notes, thinking about observations, trying to write jokes, maybe doing a little research about what is a joke, watching a bit of stand-up to learn about that. I think that you can get reasonably efficient at stand-up. My conjecture is that on the whole, those people are not doing the work. If you do the work, you won't be the best in the world, but you will get somewhere.
So you don't think it's at all possible for there to be a situation where someone does the work, but just doesn't have it, can't do it, can't get laughs,
Okay,
bombs?
I can't just say at all impossible.
Yeah, I know.
That's excluding everything.
I know semantics are a cunt, Lewis. But, you know,
Right. I don't think at all. No, certainly there is a possibility. But if someone genuinely is working, is studying stand-up, learning about turns of phrases and jokes and watching stand-up and getting that and putting in genuine hours of work at the desk to write, try to come up with something, listening back to their act, thinking, oh, that got even a little, something from the crowd. What was in that? Why was that? Being objective about their art. I think that you will get somewhere. I don't think you bomb night after night after night for months on end when you genuinely work. I don't think you can... Yes, it can happen, but I don't think on the average it does happen like that. Like, you do anything in life that you genuinely put the effort into, you will improve. Art isn't some mystery fucking magic that comes from Snow Mountain. It's just a skill that you can learn. I think they're not putting in the work.
Yeah, this is why I think about this shit the whole time, because you know what I'm like. I'm not gonna sit down I'm not gonna put the work in. James asked me yesterday what my writing process was. Take notes on the phone and then come up with the shit on the way to the venue. That's what I used to do for every purning. Yeah. I would just leave it to the taxi ride, and then on the way over I'd go, okay, yeah. Good. We're great to go now. So that's why I it's almost like imposter syndrome, right? I go on stage and if I'd get a big laugh, I'm like, why? Like, why are you laughing at? I didn't put the work in. Like this. And I'm not saying I'm some naturally fucking amazing comedian. I'm just saying that's why I would never consider myself to be an artist, because I don't put the work in.
Sure.
You know? I do not put the work in.
It's the resistance. And look, if anyone wants to learn more about what I've just been ranting on and about, you need to go read a book called The War for Art by Stephen Pressfield. And Stephen Pressfield is a more established writer who writes fiction, but he wrote this book about 10, 13 years ago called The War of Art. Mm-hmm. And all it's a small motivational book from one artist to another talking about the resistance. It's the resistance and acknowledging the many forms that artistic resistance. The resistance is when I sit down, I'm going to be distracted by something else. The resistance that takes us our focus away from the page that's in front of us and makes us think about something else. The resistance that tells us that we're pieces of shit, that this isn't going to do that. And this is all these ideas that I just talked about you got to treat this like a job. Sit down at 9 a.m. Okay, maybe you work for 3 hours and that's not really a 9 to 5 job, but fine. At least you did 3 hours. That's really fucking good for actually almost any artist to do. A writer who does 3 to 4 hours a day is like pretty bueno, like not bad. Are you treating it like a job? Are you treating it, that it's, why do you just expect this stuff to come out of nowhere when you know? I got this all from this book called The War for Art. That it just speaks, it quantifies and puts an identity on this thing, the resistance. There's all these things telling you, don't do it. No, don't do it. And you have to fight it. And every day for an artist is a struggle. Every single day. There's no day like artists don't get up and go like, ha 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 ha. Oh, I feel the enlightened spirit of God coming through me today. Yes, I will write and it is good. No, they know that every day is a struggle. And every day, I like journaling. I have a legal pad of white paper and I write on it. And when I'm sitting down, I love writing it in the morning. But I will do everything I can in the morning to resist.
How much shit is in there about me? Tim's a
fucking
cunt,
fucking pirate.
Cut your fucking hair, you
can't
hippie.
Cook, fucking the resistance that you feel every day, it is that you have to acknowledge as the artist. You will feel that resistance every day. Very rarely, 1 out of 100 days, do you wake up and you go like, top of the morning, good to write some jokes today. No, you have to be like, I'm going to be an artist and I will force myself to sit down and write. And I think that's what people just think it comes out or it's like pretty easy work. Like you will have this voice telling you, don't do it. Just fucking clean the house. You'll be really productive. Clean the house, have another coffee, do something else. And you'll face that every single day. When you're an established artist, every single day.
That's what I struggle with the most.
It's hard.
Because when I was a teenager, when I was 16, I was in a metal band, right?
Oh yeah.
Shout out to the Chupacabra boys. That was the name of the band, Chupacabra. And back then, it was so effortless. Because I was the drummer in the band, but I wrote all the music for the most part. And it was so fucking effortless to write the music back then. It just flew out of me. Like, I would sit down and I would structure songs, write out the music, like tap out the beats with my finger, get that down, throw my education away because I'm in the back of the class writing this music, you know? Huh. And over the course of the following 5 years over 2 bands, I had written about 10 to 15 songs, which to this day, I'm not tooting my own horn, but they're good songs. Nowadays, I couldn't write a single fucking riff. I couldn't sit down with a guitar. I'd sit down and I'd just pluck one string and I'm like, nah, this is shit. Go back.
What was
fuck off.
different then?
I think it's the same for a lot of people though. When you're younger, creativity is so much more, it's right there, you know? But when you're, I just find when I'm older, because when I was a kid as well, I was a silly fucker, you know, making people laugh the whole time. But now it's like effort, you know what I mean? I'd rather just go to bed. But the music thing is really stark to me because my friend Barry, the bassist in my band years ago, we're going back and forth now trying to put together, tabbing out music to re-record the old stuff. So I actually have to sit down and listen to these songs that I wrote. I'm like, fucking hell, man. How did I write this? Like, I could never dream of writing this shit today. It's not a chance in hell. Like, I'm tabbing out a song at the moment. The song was called Termination, right? And there's a program called Guitar Pro where you literally like put in numbers for positions on a fretboard or drums and stuff. And I'm like, fucking hell, who wrote this? Where's the guy who wrote this? Where's this guy? Who the fuck? Who's this Tim? Where's this version of Tim now? You know?
So what was different about Tim back then? Was he more
I don't know.
carefree? He didn't have all these worries?
I mean, I was a teenager, so I was a mess like anyone else. But I think my main problem is comfort from income without having to actually, I don't have to struggle for anything, you know?
Okay.
I don't have to, there's no fire under me to do this because I have to do it. Back then, we had shows, we had recording dates, you have to do it. But at the same time, the creative side was always just firing the whole time. I found an old hard drive recently that's like 50% pornography and 50% riffs, short little recordings. And I was going through them and it's almost like I was listening to them for the first time again. I'm like, fucking, this is magic. Like, this is amazing. Not a hope in hell I could come close to writing anything like that.
If it's any consolation, I think that the change that's gone on inside of you is inevitable for anybody.
I know that for a fact.
Even if you're like, I'm Tim from Ireland and I'm gonna be the drummer, and the band kept on recording and you kept on doing things, it will still be inevitable that you would get to that. I think eventually, like, artists have to learn routines. They have to learn discipline. It's you will flake out. You can't be as good as you want to be if the inspiration is just coming to you, because any life is going to get in your way eventually.
But it's not even about like putting together entire songs. Like, even just sitting down and writing a single riff on a guitar is like an insurmountable mountain in front of me. You know? Whereas when I was a kid, I was on top of the mountain looking back going, oh, look, look at all those things that I did along this way. Whereas now I'm at the bottom of the mountain and I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to climb this? Look at me.
I think about that. I think about the way that when I was a kid, I would play adventure games. I played things like Bunky Island or Sierra Police Quest, King's Quest,
classic stuff,
and all this, right? And now, you just walk around for an hours, clicking, can't find anything, looking.
You're excited the whole time.
Yeah, the whole time. You're quite happy to spend hours upon hours just looking and clicking and poking around this thing. I have no time for that anymore. Now, part of that is society. Part of that is just growing up and you got a lot of shit to do.
But if you had the time, would you still put in the same amount now as you would when you were a kid? Or would you go, what am I doing?
Well, I don't know if it's just about time. I didn't have anything else to do back then. We didn't have any distractions. But okay, here's my point. My point was that, okay, you've lost it. All right, cool, no worries. You can't expect to just go back to it straight away. I feel like what you're doing is looking at your old self. Here's Tim at the back of a little wee Irish school and you're like writing riffs and I did 10 to 15 songs and you're looking at yourself going, why can't I do 10 to 15 songs? Okay, cool. I mean, we've come a fair way from that. All right.
Yeah.
But can you do one riff? Like, I bet you could.
But you see, this ties up with comedy.
Could you do 15 minutes?
It's like, if I write the one riff, I'll throw it away instantly. I'll be like, what the fuck? You know, it's just this instant. It's not even self-criticism. It's like self-sabotage in a way, you know? It's like, it's the same with comedy. I'd sit down and I'd write, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to save this. And I'd go, no, close it, kill it, it's done, gone. I've struggled with this for a long time. Like, not even, like even before I came here, just trying to get back into music in Ireland and stuff. I just couldn't do it. As soon as I hit like fucking 22, it was like...
So there's something inside of you that you make it, you can sit down, you can force yourself to make something.
Oh, yeah.
But as soon as it's done, you're like, no, fuck, this is terrible. And you can't, can you even bring yourself to click save, leave it, archive?
I did in the beginning when I started doing shows in Comedy Estonia. I'd write something and I'd be like, ugh, but I'd save it anyway. And then, of course, 2 years later, I'm like, oh, yeah, I can use that now. But as it's gone on, it's like we were going to talk about Erki, but just when you started mentioning the whole doing the show for the troops thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
I thought, like, I'll do the old stuff I used to do, the fucking pigeon Baltion joke, the Estonian language joke. But I would do it for a show like that. But outside of that, I'll never do that stuff ever again. I couldn't. It would make me physically sick to have to do that old material again.
But that's different. Okay. I feel the same. I have the old jokes and I don't want to do them. And I actually don't. Yeah, I hate doing my old material now because it's so old that it reminds me that I haven't written anything new. It reminds me, I feel like a piece of shit doing old material because then I think, oh, you haven't written anything new, you fucking piece of shit. But that's different. That is a different thing to sitting down and writing something, just giving yourself the freedom to write. Maybe it's scribbling. And then at the end of it going, nah, fuck this. Delete, scrunch up the bit of paper, throw it in the bin. All I'm proposing is that whatever you do, you don't throw out. You just put it in a book and leave it there and come back maybe next week, maybe next month.
I'm such a piece of shit. I would need someone else to do it for me. Like, I love playing the piano. I was a drummer for years, but if I was to choose an instrument now that I would say I am it would be a piano player. And one of my favorite things to do, because I'm leaving the country of Estonia, is to play the piano in the airport. They have a nice big old Estonian piano there. And whereas I can't sit at home and write music on a guitar, record it or tab it out, put it down, save it, I'm perfectly happy to sit at the piano and just riff away, you know? And there were a few times where Pia would record me, sometimes on the sneak, and I'd listen back and I'm like, oh, fucking hell, I should have saved that. That's good. But at the time, I'm like, no one will ever hear this again, so I can just play it out and fucking walk away, and that's it. Whereas, you know, I should be recording it and I should be keeping it. But I don't have that mechanism anymore to, like...
I've experimented with ideas like that over the years where, let's say you do a stand-up set and you record it. So, okay, I maybe riff a little bit, do some new stuff, and you take it on your phone, you record it. But then I was finding that I hated listening to myself so much, that I would then send my stand-up to a transcription service that's meant for like speeches. And then they would, for about €1 a minute, so you do your 10-minute set, it costs you $10. I'm like, okay, cool, I can pay for that. So you pay your $10 and then you get a transcription of your 10-minute set. And I was like, boom, this is the solution to my problems. I was like, this is it, right? This is great. This is perfect. I just have to do the set. I don't have to do the hard bit of listening to myself and writing it out. And then they send me a Word file with my script. Edit. I've got a record of it. Beauty bonza. I'm an artist, famous stand-up comedian. Right? And I did that for a few times, and I have a few of these transcriptions, but then I never edited them. I never looked at them again. Because it wasn't that, oh, I didn't like listening to myself. It wasn't because, oh, I don't like writing it out. It's because I was too scared of the resistance. And so I took out the resistance in the writing and the listening, and it just came out in the editing and the ever looking at that Word document that I paid €10 for again.
This resistance thing does sound like something
I didn't
that
address
I should
the
pay attention
understanding
to.
resistance.
You know,
You got to read this thing. Just read this book. I'm not even saying overcome it. I'm not even saying you can do it, Tim. Go out tonight and do that. Just read the War for Art book, because what it does is it'll just open your it'll just make you aware that exists. Now you may still choose to, feel that and let that happen. I'm not saying it's going to convert you, but it just very accurately describes what it's like to feel. And I understood that it wasn't. The transcription of it wasn't the problem. The problem was the resistance.
Yeah.
And that if
You were
I
just
actually
moving
address-
it, you were just
moving
the
it to a different
goalposts,
place,
yeah.
so of course. So before the coronavirus, I did do a new 5-minute set, which ironically was about the coronavirus. But it was my first new set in almost a year, let's say, something like that. But I forced myself. Okay, on a Saturday, I'm going to sit down and take all the different little notes and notebooks and fucking voice memos and things that I've written, and I'm just going to put them, and I'm going to spend a couple of hours just putting them together. And I know that when I sit at that desk, I have to keep my mind from wandering, and I specifically had to drag myself back after a 15-minute Reddit session and pull it back together. And that was Saturday's job. And then Sunday's job was to make it into a script. And I kept feeling like, I'll just put it off for the next day. But it was Monday. It was going to be the English open mic at Kapika on Monday. And there's one thing I did know in the back of my mind. It's like I understood that I need to have this script down before I sleep on Sunday if I want to perform it on Monday. I can't just come up with it in the morning or during the day and do it in the evening. There's something about the sleep that it processes in our brains. It moves it from the fucking short term to the long term, or does something with the fucking hippocampus. I don't know. But I understood that I had to basically have this thing ready by Sunday night so that I could sleep on it and then do it on Monday. I don't think I can just write a new script on the same day anymore.
Yeah.
But it was hard. It was a hard weekend, and it took all my work, and I could only do it because I had to think about how bad I feel that I'm not doing stand-up. I had to really focus in on how much it's this one thing I do. I'm doing artistic things. This podcast is an artistic thing. I'm doing that. I'm doing a lot of episodes, doing a nice picture, doing video. These are all artistic tasks that I am doing. But I still, there is something about the stand-up. It's harder. It's more elusive. It takes more effort. And it
has nothing. It has nothing to do with the performing to the crowd part, right? It's all about the actual,
the creation, and maybe being in the moment. Maybe I would say maybe there is something about the performance of the crowd. There is something about being in the moment, being with it. That feeling, they laugh, they having the audience go, bam, laughter. I'll say in my next line, bam, I get laughter. There's something more than, not that I don't love this podcast and I don't love the art. I can identify the artistic nature in what I'm doing in this, but something still draws me, but is so resistant. And even on the weekend, I was thinking like, oh, maybe I should take some more time to write some stand-up. This is a great time to sit back. And I'm really struggling to write stand-up for two reasons. One, no shows happening soon. I do think I need a little bit of fire under my ass to know that a show's coming soon. Secondly, nothing's happening. I think I need shit to happen to write about. Yeah. I'm not actually very good at just coming up with an obtuse idea and talking about it.
I'm the complete opposite. I can't be topical. I don't know I just don't.
I want to have an experience. You do that though. You have experiences, and then you.
Yeah, but I'm not when Trump. I was talking to fucking Rowan about this last night. When Trump was elected, the amount of fucking comedians who went on stage, you included, and did bad impersonations of Donald Trump.
What are we talking about? What?
Everyone was at it. Ronald was doing it. Mika was doing it. Everyone, I'm like, man. Like, I wouldn't be able to do it because I'm shit at impersonations. But also, like, the whole topical thing. Like, I was listening to a podcast. I think it was a Joe Rogan podcast where he was talking to some comedian where he was like, if there's no news, I can't write. Like, I need the news to be topical. I could never do that. Like, I could never sit down and come up with something based on something topical that's happening right now.
So what do you write about then?
You know what I write about. I fucking meet a bum in the street and I have a conversation.
That's not topical, but that's an experience.
Yeah, but
you have to have experiences.
But again, I don't write, you see. I just tell stories. I'm a storyteller.
Sure, right,
based
whatever.
on-
But whatever. The things that you talk about on stage
Yeah.
come from that's different to someone. I don't know. I'm trying to think of in our group who just talks about an emotion or talks about just a common experience that they might have or a feeling or a way of being, or men and women are like this, or when I was a child, things are like that, or here's how I view the world or something. You have to have these experiences, which is I met a bum, I saw pigeons.
I can probably I can read
went
out
somewhere.
what the last thing I wrote was.
So in that case, if you are that type, you need to have experiences. You need to keep doing things, which does make it a little bit harder when you're trapped at home
Yeah.
to come up with stuff, because you rely on interaction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know more shopkeepers in Thailand
Oh,
than I
God,
can imagine.
Yeah.
The Subway guy, the fucking Indian guy that you know at Subway.
Fucking hell.
Tell us a story about the Indian guy at Subway.
So I drove out to Caleb's house. I'm always talking about Caleb. Fucking he should marry me, not Laura. Caleb, I'm here waiting for you, man. I'm waiting for you to go down on one knee here, Caleb. Right, I drove out to his house and he wasn't home. So right near him, there was a Subway. So I popped in to get a sandwich, and there was a dark-skinned fella there, and I ordered my sandwich, and he said, "Oh, where are you from?" I said, "Ireland," because that's how it always starts, right? He's like, "Yes, usually Estonians in here, but you different, you Irishman." And I was like, yeah. Typical conversation. How'd you get here? How long have you been here? Yada 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 yada. And I asked him, like, well, how's business, with the coronavirus? And he's like, oh man, Chinese people, they eat everything. I was like, yeah. And he kept saying, like, no, they eat everything. He's like, showing me pictures of pangolins and stuff. Like, they fucking eat everything. So it turns out he's this Bangladeshi guy who's been living here for 3 years. And
Fair play.
he was just, I don't know, he was telling me about, like, this salad made by Chinese, not real salad.
What?
Fake salad, cardboard.
What?
They eat everything. But nice guy. And I asked him, will he sell me a bottle of Chipotle sauce? And he's like, yes, come, Ulimista, I hook you up. And now fucking Ulimista is going to be closed.
So you can't get your Chipotle anywhere.
I've lost my fucking Chipotle contact,
You were so happy when you told me that story just because you could get the Chipotle bottle. Like Tim makes these contacts just so he can get favors out of
free shit
out of
Bernie
the
Sanders
shopkeepers.
style. Give me free stuff.
That's all he wants. I'm once again asking for your Chipotle sauce.
But like my whole thing is because I'm in Estonia and I'm from a part of Ireland where we never shut the fuck up. We have to talk to each other or our heads will explode. So I look for any opportunity to talk with someone who I know isn't Estonian and who I know is desperate to talk to someone who isn't Estonian. So situations like that happen all the time these days, Like that poor fella in fucking Rimy today, the Russian woman yelling at him because she was yelling at him in Russian, trying to get him to take the right color Chesterfield cigarettes off the thing.
You said, and to back this up, he was a black gentleman.
He was a black gentleman,
at the checkout. He was the cashier, and the Russian woman was yelling at him.
Yeah, but he had good Estonian. Like he was trying to explain to her in Estonian what color. Like, do you want the green one, the roheli one? Yeah. Like, do you want this one? And she's like, niet. But she was speaking long Russian phrases at him, and he was like, I don't know. And I'm like, oh. And after he finally gave her the right cigarettes, which I don't think he did, she just gave in and went, right. He kind of slumped back in his chair and just went, I wanted to hug him. I wanted to like, I know, man. I know. Like me and you, we're the same. We're the fucking same. We all fucking suffer in this beautiful, great country of Estonia.
He should put the sign out. We're talking about the Rimy Teleskivi here, right? I went through that Rimy the other day. And the cashier had a sign there that said, and it was in like, there was Estonian words, Russian words, and English words. And it said, please be advised that your cashier is deaf and cannot hear you. Now, number one, good on Rimy. Employing different people that couldn't possibly get a job beforehand. This is an excellent thing. But why the fuck wouldn't you just put that sign out 24/7? Why? If I was a cashier at Remy, I'd be putting that sign out all the time. Be like, no comprehende, senor, cannot hear. Like to everybody. Yeah. That sounds like the ultimate Estonian thing.
But I also felt bad for her husband because he was there and he was making an attempt to speak to the guy in Estonian. But she was just like, pushing him away. It's almost like she wanted to fucking pick an argument with this black fella, you know, because she was just
Maybe that's
piece
it.
of
He's
shit.
got the Russian wife, and he
Maybe.
knows. He
Yeah.
knows. Just fucking don't
So
marry.
whenever there's like whenever I see that, I try to be like, you know, man, fucking. I know, man. Fucking, we're all in this shit together, man. We're fucking, we're all staring into the fucking abyss, you know.
Yeah. Oh, all right. We're coming up 2 hours. We're gonna wrap it up. Tim, what are we gonna do this evening? What's up next?
Do you want to go shooting again?
I might have to go home. Have some dinner.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
I don't know. I'm gonna go home and write.
Oh, yes, good on you, Tim. Face the resistance. Face it. Sit down and force yourself.
But I wanted to have this discussion with you because it is something I've struggled with for the last 2 years, especially, and it's a part of the reason why I haven't been doing shows because I just can't. You know, I can't. I guess it's the resistance, right? I'm fucking giving in and just going like, nah, don't fucking do it.
I've given into it as well, and I kind of have this reason like, well, I run the business and I'm very busy and I have a lot of responsibilities. And not only do I run the business, I run the stand-up comedy business that makes these shows. And it is just too much. It's too much for my poor, gentle soul to have to organize the shows and then go and perform in the shows. And look, there's some validity to that, but not probably as much excuses I've given myself.
I talk to Ari and I talk to Roger and I see the desperation in their eye. They're so, I feel so bad for them because they're so hungry to do shows right now and they can't. It's tough. You know.
All right, Tim. Thank you for coming for another episode of Tim Lewis Show.
No bother.
All right, good. When are we going to see this episode of this so-called podcast that you record? When is this going to be
What day is
out?
today? Wednesday?
Today is Wednesday.
I'll get it up before the weekend probably.
Oh, look out.
There's just 2 files. I just got to put them together and
Then we're done.
because we don't have musical interludes like you when we go for piss breaks. We just
It takes 2 seconds to put it in Audacity. You just boom, boom, boom. And
but whatever.
All right, everyone. Thank you for listening again. This is Tim and Lewis Show, and hopefully our next episode up is going to be Lewis and Silla doing live. If I can get the live stream working, we're going to find that one out soon. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Tim.
Hej Daiga.
Yeah, Iga.